Hi everyone, I just came back from probably my biggest trip in the last few years. I've been away for 2 weeks, in case you weren't aware. I'd announced this beforehand in the start of August. I went to Los Angeles to visit Blizzard in their headquarters, doing a lot of Diablo stuff there. And I had a follow-up trip to Cologne to Gamescom. And now I'm back. I've been blasting last Epoch the last few days and now prepping for PoE 2. So we're back to normal, but I know a lot of people are curious with what I have to share here. So I prepared a bunch of just photos and stuff that I have other people have taken and just talk through this. So let's get started. So here, this was the first part of the trip, Los Angeles. This is me at the airport here in, I think this was in Athens actually. So I live in Greece right now. And I had to travel to Germany first and then fly to Los Angeles from there. So I just took this, I made a post about this on Twitter, and it was a pretty long travel time. So I think it took me around 23 hours or so to go from my home to the hotel where I was staying in Irvine, next to the Blizzard headquarters, basically. And at some point I was not smiling like this anymore. This is me and Chronix and Condis. So we met in, I think, Munich at the airport, and we were all traveling together with the big plane at least. So that was pretty cool. We were hanging out on both trips actually, so they managed to arrange that. Blizzard obviously paid for all of this. They invited us, and they also had a hotel covered, and they managed the entire trip for us. And we asked if we can travel together. That actually worked out pretty well, with Condis coming from Poland and Chronix from somewhere else in Germany, basically. Here's just some random pictures I took while we were basically spending some leisure time after we arrived. So I arrived on a Sunday, and our stay at the Blizzard headquarters was Tuesday to Thursday. So we basically had one evening and one free day before it even started. So we were just kind of going around. This is the so-called Spectrum. This is basically like a huge outdoor mall. There's like 100 different shops and lots of stuff you can find there, lots of food. Very high class area, to be honest. In general, Irvine is very neat, very tidy, lots of money for sure in that area. The prices are insane for everything. So fair warning if you want to visit. California is expensive, or at least Los Angeles or this part of it. So I guess that doesn't really come as a surprise. But it was a really nice area. So we were kind of hanging out there in the evening. We also went there a few times. We had some food, just kind of going around. Some people bought souvenirs. So it was mostly Chronix and Connors and me for the first night. And then also on the Monday when we still had a free day, we were just kind of going around, chilling there as everyone kind of dropped in from the airport. And kind of more and more people joining us. This is Connors and me having a nighttime snack at Shake Shack. Can recommend, guys. Very nice burgers. There was also other stuff In and Out is another burger chain. We had some catering there while we were at the Blizzard office. That was also pretty good. And Five Guys. So I generally like the American burgers. I'm generally a big burger fan. And I had a good time with the food. And of course the desserts too. So we also had some other stuff here. And I think this is Blurred, Macro, BioBoy, and Chronix in the background here. This is us having a Korean barbecue. So after we were chilling for a while, we had this experience here, also ridiculously expensive, but very nice. So they basically cooked this there right in front of us on this little I don't know, a gas stove or something. It was heated, and they basically made the meat right in front of our eyes. So that was really cool, and then tons of other spices and some side dishes and so on. That was very nice. And there's also us going around. This was a funny picture. I think I posted this on Twitter. Build-A-Bear workshop. This was just a funny reference to the last Epoch patch notes, since we were building our beasts there, and had a lot of fun kind of joking around this, because this was just about the time that the last Epoch patch notes dropped. Of course, don't forget this one. This was our favorite place to hang out. Nah, not really, but there were some chairs in the middle, and we have Chronix actually going in to ask the lady when they opened. This was early in the morning at some point on the Monday. We were just kind of chilling, spending our time, talking. I had not actually met some of the guys. Condis, for example, was with us here at this point. Chronix I had seen last year at Gamescom already, so we kind of knew each other. But it was still kind of fun to just chill and hang out here. That's also, again, Condis and Chronix and me having Eggs Benedict in the other hotel. So we actually didn't have breakfast included in our hotel. We went there on the Monday just to hang out, because we actually had breakfast at the Blizzard office every time. So I'm going to talk about this in a second, but that was really cool. So they kind of took care of everything there. But for this Monday, at least we had to do our own stuff here. And this was in the evening, basically the day before the whole thing started at Blizzard. So here we have everyone hanging out. There's Rob, there's Mikuna, Macro, this is Panda Glassjaw, one of our Maxwell Sorks. Here is the Steve. And yeah, basically everyone was there at this point. There were in total 10 people, and you're gonna see the rest on the next pictures. And finally, Tuesday arrives. So this was the first day of us going to the Blizzard campus. So first we had a little tour. This is like the kind of main yard here. These are all like Blizzard buildings. I don't know how many they have. They have a lot of buildings. So there's like, you know, the Hearthstone building and the WoW building, and I don't know, the WoW building number 2 probably, and the Diablo building and so on. So this thing is massive. And not only that, they have like this kind of like gated campus, but then you have even more buildings around it, like kind of supporting stuff and so on. This is like the main yard here with the orc statue. Really cool. And they also told us a bit of like trivia. I think this is like made from bronze, and in order to clean it, they like a flamethrower, like clean it basically, I think twice a year or something, they told us. And that gives it this black color actually. So that's actually the natural way of doing this apparently. And it looks really cool, and it was a nice piece of trivia here. There are also a lot of statues all around. So as you enter each of those buildings, they have like all tons of stuff there, props and, you know, things that you see at BlizzCon. They actually move some of those statues over, like, I don't know how, because they seem pretty fragile and heavy and very difficult to move. But apparently they do that with lots of them. So there's Lilith, here's Illidan. They just have like really cool statues all over the place in those buildings here. That's me with Lilith again. This is the Hardcore Heroes statue that's also like somewhere on the side on the main yard. And here on the sides here, you have the names engraved. I actually made a tweet about this with this picture here. And then like people showed me their battle tags, and I actually made a bunch of pictures that I posted for them. So people actually got to see their name engraved on the statue, which I find really cool. Here's more stuff. This is Jaina. And here's, I think this was Tyrael. So we also have like this incredible statue. This is actually looking insane, I think. So they just have this thing kind of like this lying around there. This one is also really insane. Like it looks very impressive actually when you're like there in person. I think the picture doesn't really do it justice, because this thing is like kind of floating, just like, you know, held by these little like angel wings basically. A very cool statue for sure. But I think this is actually one that is like static, because, you know, I don't think they dare to move this one. And a bunch of other stuff here, little angel statues, little Diablos everywhere. So that was kind of cute. Picture on the wall. This is like their pillars of, I don't know, like design pillars, I guess, for making Diablo 4. I think I had seen this one already last time I was there. So this was not my first visit to the Blizzard campus. I went there 2023 when I was at BlizzCon. They invited me back then, and I also got to try out some, like, you know, stuff. For example, back then we tried the AOZ early, and, you know, the Gauntlet and these kind of things. That was like, you know, back in season 1 basically. And yeah, here this time we tried a bunch of other stuff, of course. And this is the meeting with the devs basically. So they had like this little room that's called the Cathedral. It was kind of like Diablo themed, and you see here these benches, kind of cool. And yeah, a lot of devs here. That in this room there were so many people all the time. So these are all the people working on you know, the Diablo right now. So these are a lot of the designers working on Diablo right now, and there were plenty more, and people were rotating in and out. You know, some of them were like much more directly, kind of, you know, for example, asking us questions. We had like a big, like, play sessions and then feedback sessions, for example. And here we had sometimes like just this casual chatter, for example, over breakfast, over lunch. So this was pretty cool, because we also just got to talk about other random topics that, you know, we felt we needed discussing, or sometimes also just like casual chat as well. But overall, it was a very nice atmosphere, I gotta say. They did a really good job here at, you know, making the time very efficient, but also keeping the like atmosphere very like casual basically. And it really encouraged everyone to just get in touch and you know, talk about the game. Then we had these kind of presentations here, so I can't show you any pictures about what they showed us. So Blizzard has told us we cannot share anything about, you know, what we have seen and what we have tested exactly. It was a lot of stuff, I can tell you. It's looking really good, but, you know, they are also obviously kind of in some early stages, so I'm not sure exactly what it will be in the end. and they have not even announced the date for the expansion yet. For example, I know a lot of people are in like expansion waiting room, myself included, to be honest. So while we were there, we were not actually doing any Season 10 stuff. So that's what I can tell you. We did 3 days of basically having like maybe breakfast and then a presentation and then a playtest and then a feedback session, and roughly like a few hours block like that. And then we had another block like that and usually another block like that later in the day. And none of that was Season 10 stuff. So this could give you a bit of an idea of how much we can expect here. And this was not even all of it. They actually showed us some kind of concepts that we didn't get to try. And there was a lot of stuff. And this is Adam Fletcher here, putting the fear of God into us multiple times a day. It kind of became a meme at some point, making sure that we would not spill any secrets before it's ready. But they did tell us that whenever they announce something, which will probably happen at multiple stages and multiple, like, different times, basically, they allow us to talk about that particular thing at least. So stay tuned whenever the announcements roll in. But yeah, I can see here a lot of this kind of like just chilling, working in the background. Here's Colin on the side as well. We also had a bunch more of the like Blizzard visitors. So here is Mippy, there's Boiler. And yeah, I think we kind of like had everyone here now, and I was just kind of just standing here. That's me and Bloodshed. So this was a picture we took actually right at the end on the last day. Bloodshed is one of the community managers these days, so you might remember him from back in the Diablo 3 times. He was a big content creator. He actually has a massive YouTube channel and stuff like that. He's not really streaming anymore, but he's now working for Blizzard for a while already. So he's one of their community guys, and he's actually one of the guys really like looking out for us, and he was organizing a lot of this trip. So that was really nice, and he really, tried to make it the smoothest experience for us. So very nice to meet him in person as well. Here's me. This was also somewhere in this office right next to this cathedral room. Like tons of these statues also in the offices basically that you can see. There's like this swag and just like all kinds of like, lore, statues, cool stuff basically all around the offices. So it makes a really nice atmosphere, and also like artworks on the wall. In some cases they even like changed them. They also had like a library there with tons of like kind of gaming related books or fantasy books, and even games. There were like board games you can just play there and stuff like that. And finally, it's just a random picture I took. This was, I think, on the 2nd or the 3rd day when we went to the office. So me wearing funny shirts. People really love those. So I had my Copium shirt here. This was a Soon TM hoodie, so I posted that as well on Twitter. They gifted this to us, and some other swag. We got like a little treasure goblin Funko Pop that was kind of cool, and yeah, some other little stuff basically from Blizzard. So that was really fun. Here's my PoE 2 shirt. That was really fun when I showed up with that one to the dinner that we had at the devs, for example, but they didn't really mind too much, I think. So it was just like another topic of discussion maybe, but overall it seems like they were really happy that we were there. Obviously I tried to make this really worth the while, give them all the feedback. I talked literally hours every day with the devs, not just playing the stuff, but as I said, we had like these kind of like focus feedback sessions every time. But also, while I was like blasting, for example, we just had like a dev sitting left and right or something, and we were just showing something like, hey, this, and here, that, and it's like sometimes going into like hour-long discussions about all kinds of stuff, both in the live game and how this could potentially change in the future, for example. So that was really nice, and all of this were super attentive and really soaking up the feedback from everyone, I think. And it seemed like this was a trip really worth for Blizzard. So this was my impression. And, as I said, I was not the only guy. We had all these other people here, experts at the game, giving feedback and going really in depth with a lot of topics. Yeah, to summarize it, it was a really cool trip to Blizzard. So 3 days of just like a really good atmosphere, trying out tons of new stuff. I think everyone was really excited. And well, as I said, I can't really share the details yet, but it definitely left me in a really good mood. And I think in general, everyone was very positive towards what we have seen, the changes that are coming to the game, especially like expansion and stuff. So I think that's going to be great. Obviously, we don't know exactly what it will look like. There's still like cooking left to do, but the ideas they have and the stuff that we have seen that was already ready to try It was all just pretty well done, I gotta say. So I think it's gonna be a huge turnaround for the future. And I could see like, D4 making a huge comeback for people that maybe tried it in the past and didn't like it very much, or, are just kind of like a little bit burnt out with how the game currently works. It definitely looks like they have been, really heads down, like, locked in, and they're adding a lot of stuff. So even on the first day, on the very first presentation that we had here, we were already flashed by something totally unexpected. I think everyone was very surprised. And it's gonna be very cool to see when the announcements come out. So that was it for the Blizzard visit. And afterwards on the Friday, so basically one day before we left US again, we also visited the IGN offices. So a few of us at least. There was like Chronix, Condis, Boiler, and me. So this is Boiler here, and this is Per Schneider. He's one of the co-founders of IGN. In case you weren't aware, Maxwell recently got acquired by IGN, so a few months ago. And this guy is a legend because he actually has his own freaking meme. So you might recognize this picture here. This is him. So that's the guy. Kind of cool. And yeah, it was very nice. He was showing us around the offices. They have a pretty large, like very casual atmosphere office here. And just like lots of cool stuff. They have like all these like old machines here because they've been like in this business for like, I don't know, 3 decades almost or something like that. Yeah, we had like a nice little tour basically, and you see all these like little props and like gifts they have gotten over the years, and apparently they have like, I don't know, 10 times more stuff locked away in the basement somewhere. But that was a really cool experience, and yeah, we didn't really do anything special there, but just kind of wanted to show this off a little bit here. So this was very nice. We had some snacks and some drinks there, and there's these statues everywhere that they have, and these recording studios, and they're actually doing this stuff really professionally. They also had, like, for example, a Gamescom show that they were recording both on site and I think from one of those studios here. So they have like 3 separate, like, crazy setups like this here as well, recording stuff for the channels, their website, and so on. Lots of good stuff. And then it was time to travel to Cologne. So basically on the Saturday we flew back, and again we had like this insane trip, and I basically arrived like a full day later in Germany, in Munich, where we said goodbye. So it was again Chronix, Condis, and me traveling in the same plane. We were chilling, like going through patch notes for Diablo 4 Season 10. I had an insane spreadsheet and like Excel table with builds and stuff that I was trying to make on the plane with my laptop after like 10 hours of discussing stuff with Chronix. So that was kind of funny. And yeah, Condis left to basically go home, and they also met like his brother. And I went to my parents for 2 days and then to Cologne. So this is basically like the following, I think, Monday or Tuesday, like just when he arrived in Cologne. And I went to Gamescom for 2 days and then basically returned home to blast the last Epoch. And I also met Nini. So she came to Cologne as well, or rather to Munich, and then we went there together. And we actually had a trip together for once, so it was kind of cool. So this is the Cologne like cathedral here in the background. This is just the river here, going straight through the city, basically cutting it in half on both sides. It's just very picturesque. There's a lot of really imposing buildings, and this is like the central point here, basically. And on the first day, we went to Echo, and they had their big facility there with their blasters. Here, this was the Race to World First in World of Warcraft that just recently concluded. So this was, yeah, basically the start of week 2, and they were like on the 6th or the 7th boss at this point out of 8. So they were just going ham here. They had most of the raiders assembled, or like half of the team I think was here. So lots of big names like sitting behind those screens. They're all streaming, or most of them are streaming. And there was also like the big cam somewhere here on the left, basically. In fact, I actually went there and waved hello at some point to like 40,000 people. That was kind of funny, as they had like a break. So at some point they had like a pizza break. And yeah, I was just kind of like chilling there a little bit. So they showed us around the perimeters a little bit. Very cool. This was like their like interview, or like, kind of commentary chairs. I was chilling there. That was the Horde chair. I chose that one, of course. On the right is the Alliance chair. And yeah, we had a really good time there. So I met a few nice people. Also including one of the guys that makes Fellowship, if you have heard about. That's basically Mythic Plus, the game that they have been working on that was like recently in the beta. And I'm a big Mythic Plus enthusiast. So lately I have not really been playing WoW very much, but in the past I have been playing WoW a lot. In fact, I think it's my most played game of all time. So especially like, 20 years ago almost, up to maybe 10 years ago. I've been playing a lot of WoW and very high end. I was like, in the top guilds and, well, not like the top 1 or 2 guilds like Echo or something. But yeah, I've been like in top 20 or so guilds. And for example, when Mythic Plus came out back in Legion, I was blasting pretty hard. I was like rank 1 rogue for multiple weeks, I think. So really good times. And yeah, that was like a nice little picture into how this stuff actually works here. And here comes the last part of our trip, basically. So there's just some impressions from Gamescom. Again, this is the cathedral close up. This is actually right next to the main station. So basically, as you exit the train, you see this. So this is very cool, and you can already see a lot of people just kind of chilling here. I'm sure this is more than usual. Like Cologne has, I think, hundreds of thousands of visitors every year when Gamescom happens. So this is like a massive event. I'm not sure if I have like a kind of like a plan of the entire like area where the convention is happening, but they have like, I don't know, 15 halls full of stuff and like stalls and big booths, and there's like 100 different, I don't know, hundreds of different game developers all over the place. So I saw a lot of stuff here. We had like a private show. There was, for example, Aeon 2 was coming, so they showed us that a little bit. So it's kind of cool. I've played Aeon 1 a little bit, for example, being like an MMO enthusiast a bit. Just some random pictures here from, this is like the merchandise area as well. So there's like art you can buy, figurines you can buy. This is for the PoE booth, I think. So I have a bunch of stuff to show there in a second. But yeah, you kind of get some impressions here. Yeah, this is like one of the main corridors basically, and then left and right you have like these different halls, and they're like, I don't know, 100 meters across and like 200 meters long or something like that. Some of them larger, some of them smaller. And this was actually one of the days where not really much was going on here, as you can see. So this is still very empty. I think this was the first day that was still not open to the public. And this is basically just like business visitors and, it's kind of like special people working there, installing stuff and whatever. For the most part, creators like me as well, they have like a special badge and a special like ticket, so I can actually go there through like special entrances and skip the queues effectively, because those can last hours. It's ridiculous, especially on the more visited days, like towards the weekend. Yeah, just like nice little picture. This is Nini. So the guys that are on my stream, they will know her most likely. And Chronix. So we met again at Gamescom. That was kind of cool. Here's a cosplay. So this was the Borderlands 4 booth. I actually played the game a little bit. They had like a little intro. You can play it for like half an hour or something like that. And they had this insane cosplay, man. These guys actually looked like straight out of the game, like unrealistic with their like comic style, basically. So these are real people, not figures. And that was an insane cosplay here. So they were kind of taking pictures there with people posing with them. And you see this stuff like all over the place. So some of those booths really massive, some a bit smaller. Many places where you can just get in queue and play. So for example, the Path of Exile booth here, I was there to play the new patch, and they had this boss rush event where I think it was like a setup of 15 bosses in a row, and there was a leaderboard. You had 20 minutes to go as far as you can with many new bosses. So I played through most of the Act 4 bosses, for example, that you have seen in the announcements, and that was really fun. And yeah, in general, you see that there's a lot of effort put into those booths. So, just they have these insane props and, stuff you can visit and have some crazy experience, for example. And yeah, overall, it was a very cool experience. Here's more from the PoE booth. So we actually had an appointment. So you see this here, Woody versus Chronix. So they actually asked me if I want to come there and play the thing kind of publicly. So they had us here on the big screen while all the other guys were just, chilling here and playing. And people could actually watch this thing. And we had like a little crowd, like, watching the duel 1v1. So Chronix and me chose the same class and started blasting. And that was really cool. So we had these little setups here. So they were preparing this. And here's the leaderboard afterwards. It was a little bit cheated, to be honest. So normally you had 20 minutes. You see here all these times I was up 20, so it kicks you out. But for this 1v1 event, they were cheating a bit. and they actually allowed us to go a bit longer. I think it was like half an hour-ish or something like that. But yeah, they put us here, and then later they deleted us again from the leaderboard, so it was kind of funny. And I don't know, here's some filthy imposter as well that was chilling there on the real leaderboard. But yeah, this was a funny little event, and this kind of like made my day. It was just really, really fun to play some PoE again. I'm also very excited for the new patch, so I'm currently prepping. I've been sitting there like, you know, reading patch notes, watching stuff like all day, and continue to do so for the next few days as you know, we prep for the new release. But yeah, really good. Here's some pictures from the IGN booth. So again, we visited Pear and friends, and we also met some of the other Maxwell boys there. So Boiler came, and Beat Dropper, and Miko, and the Sane, the new druid rider we have. Yeah, kind of good stuff here. So you see our little Maxwell logo as part of all the other many logos that I don't even know what they are, to be honest. There's so much stuff they have. So they had like this massive booth there, and kind of just like hanging out with the guys. And I don't have a picture of like the group now, but that was really cool. Here's actually one picture that I found now that has us kind of like sitting there. So we got like free drinks, and sometimes just like spend a bit of time. I had a lot of meetings at GamesCom, so it wasn't just like a leisure trip for me. I actually had like basically the entire 2 days booked from start to finish. You know, meeting with game devs, publishers. My agent was there that handles like my sponsorship stuff, for example, and so on. So I met him as well. That was really cool. And yeah, for me, this was, you know, not really just for fun. So obviously I had a ton of fun doing the PoE event, for example, trying some Borderlands, but I did not actually really play a lot of things as maybe some people would expect. The queues are ridiculous, and you can't skip the like, you know, queues for trying out a game, for example, just because you're a creator. You can get into the area and into the halls very easily, but then you're just like, you know, the same peasant as everyone else, basically, unless you have some dedicated appointments. And for example, there's like a business area that I can go to, and this is basically all managed by appointments. So beforehand, you know, we had like a lot of stuff set up, and I also tried some other games out there that are currently in development, for example, and I had like, you know, little private booths sometimes. But most of the time, you know, if you want to like try out stuff like Borderlands or like Silksong, for example, was like a very popular thing that I'm also looking forward to. You have to get in line for that. But here's one of these examples of like a pre-booked appointment. So this was me trying out like a Deadpool VR game. So I was very curious about the state of VR systems. I had not really tried that much before. Just when I was at a friend's house once, he has one. And that was about it, like 2 years ago or something. I got very dizzy, I gotta say. This was a very hectic game. It's like, you know, with sword fighting and guns and, you know, monsters and like enemies like kind of like all around you. And I was like really into it. And I was like here on this little like black patch. That was like kind of like my area of like play, but you know, I was like not really turning with the controllers. You can do that as well in the game, but I was kind of like turning myself around all the time, and that makes you very dizzy very fast. So I played this for like half an hour or so, but then I was not feeling the greatest anymore. But it was still very fun to try it out, and I gotta say it's pretty incredible, the state of these VR systems. In some cases, like this has some really immersive qualities, and I'm quite excited to see where this will go in the future. Here's a picture from the same booth. So this was where we played this like Deadpool game, and this is actually my agent here. He's called LP. So he was with me for some of those meetings, for example, or rather I joined him because he usually had, you know, some more business stuff to discuss and so on. And sometimes I was there, sometimes he was just kind of chilling with me. So here's like another of those like business area like pictures basically. So there's a lot more like, you know, kind of like people discussing, I don't know, partnerships, collaborations, you know, release dates, new announcements for games and all that kind of stuff. That is going on here. That's like kind of separate from the public, and it's usually a bit more of a chill atmosphere. It's not as loud, not as crowded, because those like public halls, they are ridiculously full with people, especially in the afternoons and on the weekend. Here also we met some of the guys making the game called Jotun Slayer, Halls of Hell. You might remember that. I've actually streamed this a while ago, and I might do it again in the near future. That was a pretty fun, kind of like Vampire Survivors style game that, yeah, like it's pretty cool, I think. So we'll see that again. And yeah, here's like an example of those queues. So this is the Borderlands 4 booth. I went there very early in the morning together with Beat Dropper, so we played this together. We were like in parties of 4, so it was us and 2 randoms, kind of just like blasting together. There's like a booth behind this that has like 100 PCs lined up. pretty wild actually. And you can actually stand on the other side and watch everyone at those PCs. And this here is the queue for Borderlands. So it actually went further here to the left as well. And it goes all the way from here, and then there's like kind of like a line break because there's the corridor, and then the queue continues here in like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. It goes around the corner behind, and then somewhere there is like the entrance. So I think the people standing here, they would let in like 100 people at a time basically. But even those, they would probably stand there for like at least 1.5 hours, I believe, because they had to have to go through like, you know, 3 separate rotations of people trying out the game. So this is kind of like what you can expect in some cases. Yeah, and just some other random pictures. So in some cases, those booths are insane. So they have like these like racing cars here for some game or something. I think this is actually something you could win even. There was like some giveaway for this thing. And, you know, stuff like that. So in general, like the effort that is put into those booths in some cases is ridiculous. So I can only recommend, you know, go there once, you know, like, you know, if you can, if you ever have the chance to visit Cologne for Gamescom. It is definitely quite an experience. Don't expect to play too many games while there because of those queues that I just discussed, but just kind of like being there once, seeing like what is put into this and the masses of people is a pretty wild experience for sure. And lastly, here's a picture from one of the dinners I had with some of the Maxwell friends. So here's Neo Sid, or MLG Hots, you might know him from my stream. This is one of the co-founders of Maxwell actually. And this here is Phil Shank. Maybe you know him. He is the original like D2 lead art designer, I think, or something like that. I don't know the role exactly that he had, but basically he is one of the guys responsible for making one of the best ARPGs ever, and kind of like, you know, the big start of the RPG genre as we know it these days. And we met him, and he's actually working on a new game with his new company, Moonbeast Productions. So there's something really cool coming out. I don't know when exactly, but it is already in testing phases, and I'm quite excited to see what they have been cooking. And in fact, he signed some custom displays for us. So basically, Maxwell got permission to print a few of these, and these are some of his original unreleased artworks from Diablo 2 from 25 years ago. So he had like one of each of the classes. He has a sword, for example. Really cool stuff, and you're probably gonna see some of them very soon. They're currently being posted to me. I went to the post office and just like send it like that via mail to my own home, and I have a few of these as well signed by Phil Shank. So that's really cool, and yeah, a gift that Alex made possible, and I'm very excited for those. So that was really nice meeting him as well, and yeah, we got this. So a few of us can look forward to having some basically one-of-a-kind artwork on our walls very soon. And that was about it. So after this was like the basically last evening, I think. Yeah, we back home, and yeah, now I'm here recording this video, blasting last Epoch, blasting PoE again. And the PDR, of course, I will have some stuff to share there. I've managed to at least catch like a few days of that because there was a lot of stuff going on there. So stay tuned for more uploads, but this was my trip. Just hope that you had a good time listening to this. I, don't really have like a lot of videos and stuff like that. I don't really make those, but I hope that at least I could give you some of the impressions of what was going on. I can say it was really good, both visiting Blizzard and then visiting Gamescom. I had a lot of stuff going on. I felt this was a really worthwhile trip. And yeah, I'm very excited for the future, I gotta say. Lots of good stuff is coming up, and I'll be here to cover it. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Also, I'm probably gonna come back to Gamescom next year, so if that is something that you're planning, don't be shy, reach out. I will make a channel on my Discord when the time comes. For example, I did it this time. I'm definitely gonna do this again for these kind of trips. And other than that, of course, I'll be here on YouTube as well. So, hope you like this, and see you guys next time.